This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome in, everybody, to this week's Tigers Talk podcast with Chirco and company. No global pandemic will shut us down. The only thing that keeps Vito from broadcasting with the DOC is my ridiculous attitude, and there are just times where he's like, Doc, I can't stand you anymore. I'm not recording. We need 5 months off. I'm like, Vito, that's not in your contract. You're contractually obligated to record with me 4 times a week. And he's like, bro, if you want me around, if you want me to work as an editor, if you want me to podcast on your network, if you don't want me to shop my skills to the likes of Barstool, to the Free Press, or other podcast networks, you gotta give me a break. I'm like, fine. But now his time is up. We are now breaking down a 5-5 baseball team who has a week off because a Major League Baseball franchise decided that it might have been in their best interest to go out to a casino instead of quarantining. And within a week of the season starting, 10 games in, 2 franchises have had outbreaks, and the Cardinals basically canceled their series with the Tigers. And so after a weekend of getting destroyed by the Cincinnati Reds, the Tigers sit at 5-5, and I guess I'll kick it to my guy, Vito Chirco. But I'll say this, 5-5 is not bad. I'll take it.
5-5 for the Detroit Tigers this year? Yeah, we'll take it because I saw 24 wins, 24-36, and they end up playing the full 60-game season here. So through 10 games, a 5-5 start, good enough from the Tigers. Now, they could have split 1-2 in that Sunday doubleheader with the Reds at Comerica Park. Would have loved to have seen next. Remember, they tied up game number 1 and could have won it because of Nick Castellanos making an error. So he made an error, dropped the fly ball right off of his mitt, man, and it was bad. And that's the bad side of Nick Castellanos. He can hit for power, man, and at times be like this elite caliber hitter. But he also has those defensive mishaps, and that was showcased to the fullest extent on Sunday. But anyways, yeah, I mean, you were saying about how we have to deal with each other, and I can't stand you at times, John. Well, there are certainly times when I want to cuss you out. Trust me, I don't do it because of the type of guy that I am here. But also, I have that feeling right now inside of me about wanting to cuss out the St. Louis Cardinals, man, over the fact that the Tigers' 4-game series now with the Cards has been postponed. And until when? There's no set timeline for when these games can and will be made up because of the shortened season. To play 60 games in 66 days, John. And now you have games to make up here on the fly, man. And I think they have a 2 mutual days off where they could maybe work in a few made-up games. So they do have that goal for themselves. But still, to make it happen in this shortened season at this time, it's going to be very, very tough. And that's where I think we have the right to be a little bit upset about the Cardinals and all these different dudes that tested positive for COVID-19. And Yadier Molina, by the way, their veteran catcher, being one of those individuals. So, sure, everybody has the right to live their life. And you know what? Even with the protocols and everything, simply you might be just going home to your family, right, and being around a small group of people, including family members, and end up contracting the virus. So, and that's not living erroneously, right? That's not living in a crazy manner in which you're going wild and you're going to a casino and you're partying it up with a big group of people. So in that circumstance, sure, I get it, and it can happen as easily as that when you're still trying to maintain safety measures. But then when you hear people going to a casino, Doc, as you just said, and they're getting the virus from that supposedly, well, that's when it's a bad thing. That's when you have a problem on your hands. And I think Cardinals fans, Tigers fans, Major League Baseball fans can be up in arms about that being the case. When these players know, and Rob Manfred, this past weekend, the Major League Baseball commissioner actually came out and pretty much threatened the MLBPA that, hey, you don't get your act together and that these positive tests for the virus don't start going down, we're not going to have a season. We're not going to have this season be finished out. So he wanted to get the players on the same page for them to get their acts together. And then all this happens. And once again, it leads to the postponement of a 4-game series for the Tigers with the Cardinals. And the first 2 games, Monday and Tuesday of this week, would have been at Comerica. And Wednesday and Thursday would have been in St. Louis. So now all of this goes by the wayside. And once again, when are the Tigers, John, going to make up these games, man? It might not even happen. And that's why you might have to have a win percentage kick into full gear for a team like the Tigers now, who have a slim shot of making the playoffs, sure. But there's still other teams that have a better shot of making the playoffs that have seen their games postponed now, and including the St. Louis Cardinals. So I think it's something that has to come into play here, and it will as the season does progress and more games do get canceled, because the virus, as I said it last week, we keep saying it week to week, unfortunately, the virus is still lingering out there. It's not going away anytime soon. It's not going to just wash away miraculously. So it's going to lead to more positive tests and, unfortunately, more outbreaks for ball clubs, meaning cancellations will result. So I think with all that being said and the shortened season leading to the lack of an ability to make up these games, I think win percentage, John, will have to dictate a lot for Major League Baseball this season.
So I'm curious because I didn't think, as people who listened the last couple of weeks, I didn't think I would like, a non-traditional baseball game. So obviously the weather, and we're going to talk about some of the antics that came about in regards to the Tigers-Red series, because there was a lot of drama. Really, for one simple series, there was a lot of drama that came out, and so much that I don't even know in a half an hour if we can get to everything. But I didn't think I would like a doubleheader being played, having it only be 7 innings. But I'm not going to lie, that game, that day, when it took place, I was really impressed. I was like, you know what? This is a 2.5-hour game. It's 7 innings. It was quick-paced. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And so I was like, you know what? Now, if there's a problem with the Cardinals and they have to make up 3 games, why not just do 3 6-inning games? Make it like Little League. I mean, if you're going to be all cockeyed and make up the rules as you go along, 3 6-inning games technically is 2 games. That's 18 innings in a game. These players can do it. If you're going to, you just like we have said in previous editions, the only goal is to finish. However you get to the finish line, if one team plays 58 games and one team plays 60, one team plays 49, whatever it may be. I actually, though, to be honest, if Major League Baseball said, you know what, just based on, people's ADHD, the length of games going over 3 hours for 9 innings, would you be in favor or would you be opposed if Major League Baseball in the future cut the length of a baseball game from 9 innings to 7?
Okay, John, shut up, man. Shut up, okay? That's not going to happen,
sport.
Man. It's not going to happen.
Sport.
I don't care what you say.
Cut the sport. Cut the sport.
I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say, dude, okay? Your attention span is horrible, by the way. And trust me, people have seen you and I wish they could have seen and will see you and I communicating in the future in person, because I know when you are clearly not listening to me, man. I know it. It's so clear cut. And I know your wife, Andrea, as well, sees it and deals with this on a daily basis with you, man. So for you and these people that lack the attention span, which encompasses a lot of young people too, right? And much younger than you. You're an old dude. You're 45, 50, 60, whatever you are right now, John. So you're an old dude, man. But this young generation, up-and-coming generation that will get into and try to start watching baseball, it is long for them. But there's other issues, too, with these young people and distractions for them out there, such as with their video games and Fortnite and you name it. So they're not even into sports as much and into playing sports as much as, like, your generation, the old generation used to be, my dad's generation, my generation even to a certain extent. So less and less people are playing youth baseball. That's a problem right there. But to say we got to shorten these games now, and just because it's worked out so far with a doubleheader we saw the Tigers and Reds on Sunday at Copa, where they played the 2 7-inning games, that was terrific. It went smooth. I was glad to see that and how it progressed and was executed. But moving forward, to say that we have to have 6-inning games or 7-inning games, no. Not consistently, man. For a doubleheader in a 60-game season when there's a pandemic out there, amid crazy conditions, sure, you have to adjust on the fly. And you're not willing to adjust, but you're not going to have a season be completed. And it's all about that, getting to the finish line, as you said already, John. So I'm fine with it for this year with the doubleheader situation, making the game 7 innings apiece. But to say now we got to go to 6 or 7 for every single game for a full 162-game season, it defeats the purpose of having these games then. And it's for traditionalists out there, which I'm kind of myself, even, I'm only 27, but still I'm kind of that guy, the old school baseball fan still. And for me, you cut down the length of the game on a consistent game-to-game basis, it's not even like you have Major League Baseball anymore. They're not even real games. So you couldn't do that to the sport. You couldn't do that to people, John. And guess what, man? It's never going to happen.
Oh, man, okay. Well, look, I never would have thought that an independent baseball league would institute a time limit and say games are 2.5 hours, period. And it could be 6, could be 7, could be 8, but that's totally different. Okay, fine. We will agree to disagree. But for the reason is this. For the interest of the game, you're going to have to draw young people in. And I feel like I'm a good barometer for what people like. Because if I don't like it, most people don't like it. I feel like I'm a good barometer because everyone knows DOC, the doc, is the man of the people. You're an elitist. You're one of those baseball elite people that sticks your nose out and, walks into the press box and is like, look at me, I'm a baseball writer. Look at me, I can say this and say that. Well, Vito, unfortunately, there's more of me than there are of you. So let's just say this. Baseball has to find a way to keep people's attention span because it's going to gambling, it's going to poker, it's going to esports, and it's not going towards baseball. And so, while you may poo-poo my idea, baseball should consider shortening the game, making it more fan-friendly, and maybe even seriously considering a 7-inning game. I want to ask you this. What'd you make of Trevor Bauer's complaints about the Tigers? Because the more I read into it, the more it made sense. Because of the rain, he's like, look, and so for those that don't know, Trevor Bauer was set to warm up, and he's making his start. And pitchers, if you don't know, like most athletes, they like to get into their rhythm. They like to get into their routine. One thing that pitchers don't like to do is spend, 15, 20 minutes warming up, only then to have the game being canceled. So he takes to social media, and he uses the hashtag amateur hour, and he was pissed that the game was canceled. He's like, look, with the technology that's available, with all the radars, you guys don't know that it's going to start raining within half an hour, and you have me actually get out there and warm up? That's quite ridiculous. And obviously, within a 24-hour span, the Tigers made adjustments and didn't do that. They kept more people up to date. Do you think Trevor Bauer was accurate in his criticism of the Tigers and the manner in which they handled the rain delay? Because it kind of lends to the fact that, hey, you got to be professional in all aspects. You got to have your ducks in a row. You can't have a starting pitcher, who's used to a routine, go out there and then shut it down. I mean, you got to kind of use the resources you have. And in today's world, with the great meteorologists that are out there, the Tigers probably should have stepped it up and done a better job.
Well, John, I think I read, he tweeted out it was 8 minutes prior to the start of the game, in which they delayed it that. Could you imagine, John, if I told you 8 minutes prior to an article being due, hey, John, I'm not going to do it, man. It's not going to happen.
Absolutely, I can imagine it.
Podcast, right? Could you imagine how pissed you would be?
Yes, I can imagine it.
So at me, right?
Yes, I can imagine it when you text me at 1:30. Oh, I took a nap. Who takes a nap? Who takes a nap? It's called going to bed.
I'm not starting a game. I'm not Trevor Bauer, man. Okay, he has a big gripe. He's a major leaguer. He's paid a lot of money, by the way, a lot more than I get paid to do what I do for you. But anyways, you do get pissed. Everybody would get pissed in Trevor Bauer's situation. So he has a rightful gripe, if you want to put it that way, something that he definitely could have complained about and did. And he's very vocal about his concerns and issues with Major League Baseball and Commissioner Rob Manfred. And this is a Tiger issue because the home ballpark makes the declaration about whether or not the game will ultimately happen. But also, this means that Major League Baseball has an issue with the higher-ups and how its decisions are made with games. Because you look at Major League Baseball, and they allow the home ballparks to make these decisions themselves, meaning they can make them, and they can make them last minute, even as prior to the start of the game. And that's wrong right there. Because like you said, pitchers, especially Major League Baseball starting pitchers, are creatures of habit. And we know Bauer definitely is, man. And he's such a talented dude. And we love seeing him go out there and pitch. And unfortunately, K tens of thousands of Tigers batters, it seems like at times, right, in one given game. And that's not actually feasible. It can't happen. But it seems like he just Ks every single Tigers batter, right, when he faces them. It is good for double-digit Ks every single time he faces the Tigers, with that being said. And he had, 13 to 16 double-digit Ks his first time out against Tigers earlier in this season. And then he struck out a bunch on Sunday in game 2 of that doubleheader. So he was really magnificent. And we want to see a guy like that, John, be able to have some perks, right? He deserves some perks and how good of a pitcher he is. And in this shortened season with the conditions. And with that being said, John, guess what? They don't want these players being around the ballpark for extended amounts of time. They don't want them just lingering around there. So if you knew on Saturday when this game was, there was all this rain and the game ended up being delayed, and you knew all this time ahead of time that the rain was coming and it would be bad and it would be impossible to get the game in, then just delay the dang thing, right? I mean, that's what Bauer thought himself, and he expressed that very issue that mattered significantly to him when he went to Twitter and tweeted out about it as well over this past weekend.
Yeah, so now with the outbreak, Ron Gardenhire, manager of the Detroit Tigers, he came out and said it. If there was a rash of an outbreak that took place for the Detroit Tigers, he would probably step away because he has a health condition. He's been a cancer survivor. So we have to definitely take it seriously. And he said the Tigers have done a good job. And I know sometimes we're critical of the Tigers in regards to moves, acquisitions, trades, and the play on the diamond, but you have to give them credit so far. 10 games, and there's only been a couple of players that have missed action and things like that. So they're taking it seriously. We have to give the Tigers credit that, hey, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, if ball players get to the workplace, the baseball diamond, they get to Comerica Park, they handle their business, then they leave and they take it seriously, then outbreaks will be at a minimum. And so far, I do believe the Tigers are taking it very seriously. And this is how we get through it, is if you take personal accountability, you handle your business, you don't go out to casinos, you don't do things that are going to jeopardize the season, then there's a serious chance that a season will actually take place and be completed. So I'm happy with the Tigers on that front. A couple other things I'm happy with. Obviously, the defense is a little bit better than in 2019. The bullpen has been something that has been quite a surprise, Vito. I'm very impressed with the back end of the rotation in terms of the bullpen. I'm happy that that certain games, even though Jimenez makes it a little bit more interesting than it needs to be, he's done a semi-decent job. And we understand that not all the relievers are going to be, perfect every time. But to be 5-5, you got to, be able to, when you have a lead late in games, take advantage. And while, the end of the Red Series was disappointing, I am happy that this team is better. This team could finish maybe even 30-30 if breaks go their way and the offense keeps hitting. There's an opportunity for them to compete to, I think the ceiling is 500. So I'm happy that maybe we could be watching a 24-30 win, Detroit Tigers baseball team. So my early state of the Tigers is pretty good at this point.
John, speaking of the bullpen too, man, I mean, you look at the team, what it's done, and you're right. The back end of games, much more steady, much more efficient. And it starts with surprises. And the biggest surprise is Gregory Soto. This guy throwing just gas, man, and hitting the corners, painting the black. And it looks terrific out of the pen thus far for the Tigers here in 2020. So I love what he's done. And then Buck Farmer, man, the steady veteran. And he's a guy, and I've said it before on Tigers Talking recently, that you and I used to make fun of and shred, man, and just go after and just shred to pieces about how bad he would be, man. And at any point during a game, and when used as a starter, when used as a reliever, and much more effective at this point in his career as a reliever. So I like what those two individuals specifically have done. And even Joe Jimenez, who I have some question marks about, has been decent. Now, I want to see more consistency out of him the remainder of this campaign. And really, I want to see that before I make a declaration and start saying that he has turned the corner officially. It can be this major league closer. And maybe not for the Tigers, but for another club, if and when they deal him to another club, if he really increases his aptitude as a big league closer. So I like everything about their pen, and especially what you saw Tyler Alexander do on Sunday in game one of that doubleheader, John. We would be remiss completely without bringing him up in his performance. He struck out 9 consecutive batters in relief, tying an American League record. And because of that, his hat was sent to Cooperstown, actually. And it's funny, I retweeted that on Twitter, and I just loved seeing that performance out of Tyler Alexander, a guy who came into this campaign with some question marks, but a guy that Emma Woodbury came on this podcast and talked about a month ago and said he could be a surprise for the Tigers in 2020. And thus far, he has been a big-time surprise after being a reliever in the farm that really didn't strike out batters at a premium rate. And now it looks like maybe, just maybe, John, he has turned the corner and has become that highly effective reliever that at least can be utilized by the Tigers in the middle innings. So I like what he has done out of the Tigers' pen as well up to this point. And it gives me realistic excitement and optimism about the Tigers' bullpen moving into the future because Alexander is young, Soto is young, Jimenez is young. Farmer, he's not young or as young as those guys per se, but is still relatively young. And maybe they end up moving Farmer, right, for a nice trade at chip or two. So that could very well still happen before the end of this season with there still being a Major League Baseball trade deadline this month. So all of those guys, pretty much effective, and I like what they have done. And then really quick to get to the defense and what the Tigers have done defensively as a club. And you look at how much, John, right now they are shifting. 70% of the time. And that's extremely high, leads the majors, and much higher than what it used to be, and even under Ron Gardenhire, who it looks like has embraced analytics to the fullest extent at this point, which is great to see, and I think surprising to see for both you and I and all these Tigers fans and pundits out there, knowing that he's an old-school manager who really did not even understand or get into analytics at one point, and as recent as his last managerial job, which was with the Minnesota Twins. So overall-wise, John, yes, I think you have to respect what the Tigers have done as a unit out of the pen and as a club defensively and give them a lot of credit for at least starting to make strides and starting to turn it around as a unit from both ends. But still, we want to see the consistency now the rest of the way, as we've only played 10 games up to this point. And who knows how effective now Soto will be the rest of the way, right? How effective Jimenez will be the rest of the way. How effective Alexander will be the rest of the way. And really how effective the defensive shifting will be for the Tigers the rest of the way. Because when you're shifting that much, you're prone to allow some hits and some diddly squat, like light hitting hits that just go past in areas on the diamond where there's nobody there, right? Where there's nobody in position to make the play on the ball. So you're going to have those kind of hits potentially flare up more too. So that can lead to, runs and more runs for these opponents. And I mean, that's a scary concern, an issue with shifting as much as the Tigers have up to this point. But still, I like that they're embracing analytics. They're deploying them much more often. And I think that is a really good thing for the Tigers moving forward as a club as well.
All right, last two topics. We got about 5 minutes left. I always enjoy talking to Vito about baseball. You can download Tigers Talk every single Wednesday on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. All you got to do is head on over to your favorite spot that you listen to podcasts and type in Detroit Sports Podcast. When you hit that subscribe button, our daily content will find you. Vito, how concerned are you about Daniel Norris? That first start was not impressive. He got banged around. And look, chance after chance after chance he's been given. And you have to start to wonder, is this a player that you can count on to deliver when you need him? And I don't know, Ron Gardenhire is definitely patient with him. The organization seems to be patient, but I'm starting to lose it. I'm a little bit concerned. Is Daniel Norris a player, a pitcher that's worth throwing out there every 5 days?
Well, John, I'll just say this to start off. In Norris's defense, he had a streak of 21 straight quality starts at one point. So he's been effective in the past. And I think people easily forget about that stretch in his big league career in which he was ultra effective. And I know the quality starts can be an overrated statistic as well, and something that maybe we shouldn't utilize as a gauge of how effective a pitcher really is in this day and age of Major League Baseball. But still, that is a case where he had that streak of 21 consecutive quality starts. So he's been effective, guys. That being said, contrary to popular belief in the past as a big league starting arm. It's just at this juncture in his career, it's still on the right side of 30, but with all the injuries that have mounted for Norris and have gotten the best of him over the years, I mean, it leads me to believe, unfortunately, that we have to be pessimistic about the long-term future and the ability to be effective at this level as a starting arm. Now, his saving grace, though, John, is the fact that he's a left-hander, can be a lefty specialist, per se, out of the pen. And this year, no, because lefties can't even be utilized in that manner in which they only go out for one batter at a time. Now you have to pitch to multiple batters in order to be utilized out of the pen. That's just one of the rules in Major League Baseball this season with the shortened campaign that we have to play with. But in the future, in 2021 and beyond, because of the fact that, once again, Norris is under 30 and shows some effectiveness here and there and glimpses of it, with that being said, I do believe that Norris, at the very least, John, can be an effective middle innings reliever as a lefty specialist. So maybe not this high quality or even quality middle of the rotation arm anymore, but still a guy that can have a role on the Tigers or on another big league ball club in the future.
All right. And now it was interesting to read in terms of, at this point in time, I thought that, no doubt about it, Casey Mize would still be considered the Detroit Tigers' number one overall prospect. But guess what? Within a month, Spencer Torkelson is the new top prospect in the Detroit Tigers organization, and I believe he's ranked 7th overall in terms of the top 100 prospects, and right behind him, 8th, is now Casey Mize. I'm a little bit surprised by that, Vito, because of the fact that, yeah, the big bat, the potential is out there, but I'm surprised that quickly the bat, Spencer Torkelson, has been moved up. Is that accurate in your mind? Is that an accurate reflection of a guy's skill set? Or do you say, you know what, maybe a little bit of hype would cause Spencer Torkelson to jump Casey Mize in Major League Baseball Pipeline's top 100 prospects list? I still believe, in my mind, that Casey Mize, the arm, based on what we saw in the inter-squad games, probably is going to be, in my opinion, the best pitcher and the best prospect in the Tigers organization.
Well, John, it's just like this for me. It's like when you surpassed me in the rankings of podcasters in the Metro Detroit area. When you've jumped me in the past, you've become number 7. I've been dropped to number 8. It's a matter of time before I surpass you again. And it's really a matter of time until Mize surpasses Torkelson again on this prospects list. Which, I'll tell you this much too, John, just like with the podcaster rankings, the prospect rankings really don't matter that much because they're fluid. They're due to change come mid-season, and this year's different, but in a regular season full of 162 games, actually, John, they come up with a mid-season prospects list too. So a preseason one, a mid-season one, and an end of the season one. So Torkelson, great to hear out of him that people like his ability and what he's shown in that little glimpse he had for the Tigers there in summer camp. But Mize is still the top arm in the Tigers farm system, one of the top arms in all of baseball. And Matt Manning is right there as well. And some actually believe right now, John, as you and I speak for Tigers Talk this week, that Manning has the better potential and will be the better big league arm one day. It is Mize has had more of the acclaim and the hype. And I'm all aboard the hype train for Casey Mize. So I still believe he's going to be a top end arm, a frontline arm for the Tigers and in the near future. But to say that this is a big-time worrisome thing for fans and for the Tigers right now, that Torkelson jumped Mize and by one spot, no. That means diddly squat to me. And once again, it's just like when you surpassed me in the podcaster rankings. I know it's not going to last for long, so I'll give you a little bit of acclaim and shower you with a little bit of praise and love for the time being, and then I'll end up surpassing you again in the meantime.
Make sure you follow Vito on Twitter at Vito Jerome. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. If you agree or disagree with anything that we've said this week, feel free, type in that tweet and send it. We love bantering, having debates with our supporters. Thanks, Vito. Man, a half hour. I think we got to plan maybe just a little bit more in the next week because if there's a little bit more news, half hour didn't satisfy me just enough. I just need a little bit more. So maybe we'll plan for 45 minutes because our start time was actually would have allowed us 45 minutes, but I had to delay because, writing is something that I'm starting to really enjoy doing. And I apologize for that. But I enjoyed this week's broadcast. Thank you, Vito. We'll talk soon, very soon, on the next edition of Tigers Talk.
John, I'll talk to you, man. Good luck to you. Thanks. Bye-bye.